I give the CIA a total credit for sponsoring and initiating the entire consciousness movement, counterculture events of the 1960s.
Welcome back to Rise to Liberty. First, I'd like to start off the show with a quote. The point of modern propaganda isn't only to misinform or push an agenda. It is to exhaust your critical thinking and to annihilate the truth. Gary Kasparov. So today we will be discussing MKUltra, and due to discussing MKUltra, we will also be discussing certain topics such as SRA, mind control, behavior modification, all sorts of different elements to this, because in reality, this is all kind of the same topic, really. Granted, there are different aspects to this, and there's different people that will focus on depending on what the topic is itself. But in reality, these really are all the same topics. Before we get too deep, I actually do want to read another quote real quick. This is actually right at the very start of a book. Oh, have a little visitor at my feet. Hi, little baby. I told you I will play with you after I'm done. I'm sorry. No worries, she's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she's fine. Just leave the door so she can get out. Okay, so another quote, and then we'll get into the meat of today's episode. This is from Detective Sandy Gallant, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. She was from the San Francisco Police Department. Occult crime may be the most difficult area of police work today. You won't find simple cases with obvious suspects. You find bits and pieces, evidence that goes nowhere, testimony that is always suspect, and crimes so bizarre and disgusting that even most police officers don't want to believe it exists. So, just a couple of good quotes to keep in mind as we are diving into this today. Hey, thank you so much. And yes, I agree. Smash that like button, the share, all of these things. Like, share, subscribe, as the content creators say. Jacob's library is worth more than my house. Maybe. Officially, I don't quite have a library yet. To have an official library, they do consider, I believe it's 1,010 books, or maybe it's 1,200 books, somewhere right in there is when you have an official library. So I am quickly on my way, though. So at some point, yes, I will agree with that. At some point, it will most definitely be worth more than your house. Largely just because there's going to be a bunch of rare books and out of print books, hard to find books. But that's not the topic for today's show. First, I want to talk about a recent story that came up from one of my least favorite people in the political sphere. I find this incredibly interesting that this is popping up again. I was going to play the video, but for some reason, this local news website is not working. An error has occurred. But let's go ahead and bring this up. So first and foremost, before we get into the MKUltra stuff, I was going to exit out of this breaking news tagline, right? This big red banner. Breaking, Texas officials monitoring 2 residents who were on board ship with hantavirus outbreak. Once again, just like with the quote that I opened the show with, this propaganda, which is what it is, and that's not to say that we shouldn't be concerned about a possible pandemic 2.0. But to turn around and be super fearful, like I've seen some people, obviously I don't believe any of these people are anyone that I would expect to find in my audience. Give me just one sec. I was looking for a screenshot. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't be concerned or at least keep an eye on it. But once again, the quote I opened the show with is, "The point of modern propaganda isn't only to misinform or push an agenda. It is to exhaust your critical thinking and to annihilate the truth." So this is something we need to keep in mind when we see this hantavirus stuff being pushed. I've just started seeing more and more about this potential outbreak. And granted, I think people are still traumatized over the whole COVID thing. So because of that, I think a lot of people are going to be a lot more willing to be scared and freak out about this stuff. But just keep in mind, this is used to misinform and push an agenda and to exhaust your critical thinking. So just keep your head on a swivel. Pretty sure if they try lockdowns 2.0, there's at least most of us are going to be a lot better prepared this time around. Anyways, let's get to the bulk of this article that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, one of my least favorite people in Congress is Anna Paulina Luna. I'm just not a fan. Not a fan at all. Let's see. Can we get this video to play? No, reload website. Let's see. No. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna announced on Wednesday, which, for context, this article was published April 30th, 2026. So, a week ago today. Just so you know what Wednesday they're talking about, announced on Wednesday that the House of Representatives would be holding a hearing on MKUltra in May. Quote, "Hearing on May 13th, MKUltra, House Oversight Task Force," she wrote in an X post. There she is. So we're going to run through this article kind of quick. Let's see. Hold on. Give me just a sec. Okay. Sorry, just had to shoot a text over to my producer real quick. One of the hidden hands behind the show. Anyways, so the article goes on to say MKUltra was a CIA program from 1953 to 1973. That's actually really impressive that they were able to actually put 73. I'm actually genuinely impressed with that. Most reporting will say 63 and just completely leave out that whole 10 years. So yeah, MKUltra was a CIA program from 53 to 73 that studied mind control and the alteration of human behavior. People used as test subjects were given high doses of psychoactive drugs, such as LSD, without their consent. They also underwent methods like electroshock, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, and other forms of torture. Yeah, including psychosurgery, which seems to never be discussed. I find interesting. James Whitey Bulger, a notorious organized crime boss, was an unknowing test subject for the MKUltra program while at United States Penitentiary, Atlanta. He was given high doses of LSD for 15 months, causing him to experience intense paranoia, hallucinations, and nightmares. MKUltra has been considered a violation of individual rights and an example of CIA's abuse of power. It's kind of interesting. That's it. Really? Wow. Okay. Also, yeah, I just saw this recently. Ted Turner, CNN founder and cable news pioneer, dies at 87. I'll be honest, I thought he was already dead. You know, I was kind of hoping for more from that. It's kind of interesting, but we have more to go on. So we'll hop over here to the Daily Mail. So this article goes a bit more in depth. Once again, we're going to breeze through it pretty quick. A congressional hearing to examine the CIA's secretive mind control program has been set for this month. Florida Rep. Anna Paulina Luna announced on Wednesday that the task force on the declassification of federal secrets will hold a hearing on the Cold War era MKUltra program on May 13th, which, if anyone has an idea of where they are going to be streaming that, I assume C-SPAN is going to be covering that. The plan is to stream it live on my channel here. We will be watching the hearings live. So make sure and put that in your pipe and smoke it. No, I'm just kidding. Make sure and put that in your calendars. So, yeah, we will be watching the hearings live over here. Probably going to be an all-day thing, so we might take a break halfway through, or I don't know. We'll kind of see how everything works out, but we will be watching it over here. The CIA's MKUltra program conducted from 53 to 64. See, what was I just saying? Most people completely leave out from 64 to 73, which is really interesting. That was, largely a lot of testing, like real world testing. That was a lot of the cybernetic stuff that they were doing, which is probably why they leave it out, is a way to be able to frame this as only drug testing, which is the furthest thing from the truth. Aim to develop procedures and drugs for interrogations, weakening individuals and forcing confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture. 100%. Luna had pushed to restart congressional hearings on the matter in February, citing a Daily Mail article that reported a newly surfaced document on mind control experiments had been placed in the CIA's reading room the year before. The renewed focus has placed the CIA's MKUltra program back under the microscope, particularly its use of drugs, hypnosis, and psychological testing on human subjects, as well as the death of one of its scientists. Very, very interesting. Oh my God. Hey, JC. Good to see you, bud. Good to see you in the chat. It's been a minute, but glad to see you're there. Dr. Frank Olsen, a biological warfare scientist, was covertly dosed with LSD at a meeting and died 9 days later after being pushed out, not falling out, after being pushed out of his hotel room in New York City, which was declared a suicide. Although some people, including family members, believe he was murdered, he was murdered. He was very clearly murdered. I've talked about the Frank Olsen case on my channel before, but I think we're going to go back and go do a bit more of a deep dive, like an actual review of all the evidence. I think it's worth it. Also, I did find a clip of Frank Olsen talking in a documentary, and this was long before he was involved in MKUltra necessarily. Like it says here, he was a biological warfare scientist, and he was stationed over in West Germany, working on biological warfare bombs. And these bombs were being used in Korea, the same bombs that the U.S. still says to this day does not exist. Never existed. We never dropped them. It's like, come on. It's not even close to true. Not even close to true. We were definitely violating the Geneva Convention, and we were using biological warfare against the Koreans. So anyways, a total of 144 projects were carried out under MKUltra during that period, highlighting the vast scale of the CIA's secret experimentation program. Yeah, we all know this. One such document from 1956 detailed how the CIA considered testing the substances on foreign nationals, but ultimately concluded that unwitting testing on American citizens must be continued. That's 100% true, but they also did test on the foreign nationals. They actually just had their own program over in Europe. So kind of interesting. They also had their own program over in the UK because the UK government was also involved in this. So pictured in the back row, that is Dr. Frank Olsen, his wife, Alice Olsen, and their children from left to right, Eric, Lisa, and Nils. I'm not sure. I'm actually, I know I've watched the documentary on Netflix, which is actually a pretty good documentary considering most of the time Netflix likes to shitcoat all of the people they do documentaries on, such as, Danny Casolaro, and they definitely shit all over Maury Terry. And they definitely shit on Frank Olsen and Eric Olsen, Frank's son, who has basically led the charge in fighting for the truth regarding his dad, even against the wishes of his own family, which is kind of interesting. A CIA spokesperson previously told DailyMail.com, quote, "The MKUltra program ran from 1953 until the lack of productive results and ethical concerns about unwitting testing led to its secession. in 1963. Once again, 1963. Okay, and lack of productive results and ethical concerns. Okay, this is bullshit. First of all, if there were any ethical concerns, they wouldn't have started this to begin with. Let's see. Try and zoom in a bit and oh, come on. Oh, come on. I want you guys to be able to see the article. Let's see. All right, give me just a sec to adjust this. Anyways, I have an issue with them trying to frame this like, oh, there were ethical concerns. Yeah, I don't believe you. I don't believe you that you were trying to look do what exactly. I'm just, I don't know. It's frustrating when people put it this way because I know they're just lying. So there were no concerns over ethical concerns. And then they also want to say that due to the lack of productive results, exactly what does that mean? I know the official story is that they were unable to mind control anyone. And so therefore they just gave up the program because, you know, we spent 20 years researching this secretly and lying to the American public. And we also turned around and did the show trial known as, why can't I remember the hearings that took place after World War II, the Nuremberg trials. You know, they were really a show trial. Like a friend of the show, Rotting Jules, you know, Dana from Rotting Jules says that the Nuremberg trials were fake and gay. So, and they were absolutely, because at the exact same time they are trying to prosecute these former Nazis for committing some really heinous human rights violations, they were literally doing the exact same thing. So, I mean, if that's not fake and gay, I don't know what is. So, yeah, this is just, I don't know. It's really frustrating. CIA is committed to transparency regarding this chapter of its history, including declassifying information on the programs and making it publicly available on CIA.gov. Well, that would be good, because if you have any documentation that still isn't declassified, I think you should. You know, since there were a lack of productive results. You know, there's no harm in declassifying these documents now that everyone is dead and nobody can be held accountable. Lack of productive results. That is ridiculous. Yeah, now that everyone's dead, nobody can be held accountable. Might as well release the documents. I mean, granted, I'm being snarky, but you know, I do think it is worthwhile for them to declassify whatever documents they still have. However, committed to transparency regarding this chapter of its history, I also don't believe you. You know, if they were committed to transparency ever at any point in time, they wouldn't have burned all of the records to begin with. The Daily Mail has contacted the CIA for comment regarding the hearing announcement. MKUltra has become a renewed focus on Capitol Hill, with lawmakers raising concerns about the program's controversial past. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett raised the experiments with the Daily Mail this week, comparing them to what he believes is unfolding within the U.S. scientific community as the White House investigates cases of missing and dead scientists. That's odd. Why would they be making the connection there? Let's see. I just go back to the whole concept of MKUltra. They kidnapped people and loaded them up with acid and other mind-altering drugs. They tried to erase their memories, he said, him being Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett. They were sued in court. Then they claimed it didn't exist. In 1975, they ordered records destroyed and later admitted it had existed, but no longer did. Which lies are we supposed to believe? None of them. None of them at all. Olsen was one of at least 8 men given LSD on November 19th, 1953, as part of an MKUltra experiment, Paul Vittich, Olsen's nephew, previously told the Daily Mail. In statements made during a 1977 hearing about the activities of the CIA, according to Sidney Gottlieb, a very small dose of LSD was added to a bottle of Cointreau. Cointreau. I don't know, French. It's orange liqueur, which was served after dinner. Also, what a faggy drink. Like, oh, would you like a glass of Cointreau? Fuck you. I don't know. That part of the story has always bothered me for some reason. It's just, I don't know. Okay. In the days that followed, Olsen became paranoid, barely ate, and even threw away his wallet, identification badge, and money after believing his boss, Vincent Ruwert, had instructed him to do so. Now, here's the crazy thing about the Olsen story is they claim like he just had a bad reaction to the LSD. No. Well, yes, he did. But they want to claim that that's all it was. No. That's insane, because he was literally a spook hanging out with spooks who were literally working on a program to drive people insane, to change their behavior, to interrogate them. It's like just right at the very top of the article, right? Let's see. The CIA's MKUltra program, conducted from 53 to 64, lies, aimed to develop procedures and drugs for interrogations, weakening individuals, and forcing confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture. Okay, psychological torture is the key phrase here. Okay, now keep that in mind as we continue reading about this whole Frank Olsen bit. Okay, let's see, where was it? So, in the days that followed, Olsen became paranoid, barely ate, and even threw away his wallet, identification badge, and money after believing his boss, Vincent Ruwert, had instructed him to do so. He probably did, genuinely. Let's see. Olsen was scheduled to travel to a mental health facility on November 27th at approximately 2:45 a.m. on November 28th, 1953. Ruwert received a call from Dr. Sidney Gottlieb reporting that Olsen had died. Olsen's body was later found outside the Statler Hotel, where he had been staying on the 13th floor. Odd. Vittich said his uncle had, quote, moral qualms about the nature of the work he was doing, and he was eventually seen as a security risk. So what was happening is Frank Olsen, like it said here, his nephew said, that Frank had moral qualms about the nature of the work he was doing, including the work he had done over in West Germany with the biological warfare, because he saw the results of it. He saw exactly what was happening. Let's see. It was found at the Statler, 13th floor. The fact that it was on the 13th floor is a little weird. I always forget that detail. But yeah, so Frank had moral qualms about this, and he actually wanted to leave the agency, right? But he was at such a high level of security clearance that they couldn't just have somebody who gained a conscience out of nowhere to leave the agency and just began, possibly blabbing their mouth. So he was a major security risk. And also, from what I remember researching about him, in fact, let's dive into him just a little bit further than I intended to. Let's see. Olsen. Frank Olsen. Paging Mr. Olsen. Let's see. It's right there. Yep. Okay, page 29. Okay, give me just a sec to find this. Okay, the many inhumane exploits of these Nazi scientists who later worked in MKUltra programs are well known. CIA employed Nazi scientist Herbert Gerstner had programmatically killed German children. America's father of space medicine, Hubertus Stronghold, tested psychedelics on concentration camp victims at Dachau, and he conducted experiments that involved shooting victims, injecting them with gasoline, crushing them to death, and freezing them to death in ice water. In 1938, Albert Hofmann created lysergic acid diethylamide. I am not a scientist. Not like that was ever in question. LSD, so lysergic acid. While working for a Swiss company, Sandoz Laboratory, a subsidiary of the Nazi IG Farben cartel. The Swiss pharmaceutical industry had previously handled much of the European opium traffic. Sandoz then supplied LSD to Nazi doctor Joseph Mengele, who first experimented with it on concentration camp victims. Let's see. Now to move forward a little bit. Just making sure that I have okay. Making sure that I have the section on Olsen. Ba, 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 ba. Let's see. Gottlieb. Where's Olsen? Where is Olsen? You know what's interesting while I'm looking for this is at the same time as the LSD stuff was coming out, Sandoz Laboratory was also working on MDMA, ecstasy. So kind of interesting. Also, apparently, Alan Dulles really did not like Frank Olsen. Neither did Sidney Gottlieb. Sidney Gottlieb especially didn't like him after he became a security risk, which I find incredibly interesting. Let's see, Charles Douglas. Muhammad Ali. Elvis enlisted in the army. Okay, I think I have it. Okay, yeah, it's right here. In the early 1950s, a push began for mental hygiene departments, which is really just social Darwinism, which is one of the 4 tenets of Satanism. Just, throwing that out there. Mental hygiene, which is a very common phrase that you'll hear from back then. Typically, it relates to people of the Nazi persuasion. Usually they talked a lot about mental hygiene. Anyways, in the early 1950s, a push began for mental hygiene departments that were closely intertwined with eugenics, because mental hygiene is a way to describe eugenics without sounding so, death culty. William Welch, a founding leader of the Committee of Mental Hygiene, was also the chairman of the Eugenics Records Office. The Eugenics Records Office Board of Scientific Directors and Scientific Director for top eugenics funder John D. Rockefeller. The movement enabled Dr. Sidney Gottlieb to run MKUltra psychedelics experiments through contracts with many institutions. It began with gels, but soon included drug treatment agencies and mental institutions. The directors of the National Institute of Mental Health and the National Institutes of Health used their agencies to help channel funds to these institutions for the known purpose of testing drugs on subjects, particularly subjects that could not consent. Go figure. By 1953, let's see, hold on, just readjusting so I can read this in the light. By 1953, in what appeared to be purposeful targeting, MKUltra doctors started damaging more prominent people with their MKUltra drugs. After a divorce in that year, Harold Blauer, a once highly seated 42-year-old Jewish professional tennis player, went inpatient for depression. Despite progress he made in talk therapy, doctors at the Rockefeller-funded New York State Psychiatric Institute ordered MDA for him as part of the military experiment on him without his knowledge. MDA was a code name. EA1298 is an ecstasy precursor drug, and the Army Chemical Corps stationed at Maryland's Edgewood Arsenal supplied it. Dr. Paul Hosh, I'm not sure, a member of the still extant Eugenics Society and Blauer's hospital physician, ordered the drug, well aware it would damage Blauer, as Hosh, pretty sure it's Hawk, had previously published a paper on that very subject. When Blauer had a bad reaction and admitted to refuse a fourth injection of the drugs, Dr. Hawk ignored him. A fifth injection of the drugs killed Blauer. It should be remembered that eugenics deemed 70% of Jews as deserving death, according to the Eugenics Society. Dr. Hawk worked for the Army and as a CIA consultant. He gave LSD to psychiatric patients and then lobotomized them to compare the effects of acid before and after the surgery. In one experiment, a patient was given a local anesthetic and told to describe what he saw as the doctor removed chunks of his cerebral cortex. Hawk is quoted as saying, quote, "It is possible that a certain amount of brain damage is of therapeutic value," end quote. In 1955, Hawk became New York State Commissioner of Mental Hygiene. 2 years earlier, in 1953, Dr. Sidney Gottlieb used LSD as a weapon on an important CIA scientist named Frank Olsen. Olsen headed key biological warfare experiments at Camp Detrick, now Fort Detrick, in Maryland. U.S. intelligence considered Olsen a serious security risk after he began telling people close to him that he wanted to leave the CIA. Olsen had helped guide Air Force testing of anthrax-like spores on people in Antigua and Alaska. Less dangerous spores were tested in San Francisco and many other cities. Operation Sea Spray. This is actually neither. This is actually drugs as weapons against us. Let's see here. Yeah, so Operation Sea Spray were the quote-unquote less dangerous spores tested on San Francisco. The family of one man claimed these spores caused their father's death in a case that was taken to the Supreme Court. U.S. intelligence first interrogated Olsen in 1949, but had darker plans for him by 1953. Those closest to Olsen reported he became very disturbed about the Air Force's use of biological weapons he had worked upon in the Korean War from 1950 to 1953. Olsen also voiced strong misgivings about taking part in some of the early MKUltra experiments in Germany, where he had joined other CIA and Nazi scientists, including concentration camp experimenters, in interrogating agents from the Soviet Union and East Germany. These interrogations involved the use of LSD and other drugs. They also involved fatal torture. Olsen's close friend and former military scientist colleague, Norman Cornier, said Olsen returned from the trip to Germany very distraught. In a documentary film, codename Artichoke, Dr. Corneyer relates that in 1953, Olsen told him that witnessing people tortured to death led him to prepare to resign from the CIA post. Hank Abarelli wrote an 800-page book on Frank Olsen's murder at the hands of the CIA. Abarelli conducted hundreds of personal interviews and sifted through decades of government documents. Abarelli's book, A Terrible Mistake, presented overwhelming evidence that the highest levels of the CIA wanted to silence Olsen. They not only wanted to stop him from speaking out on the operations cited above, but also, and more particularly, for him exposing of Project SPAN, SPAN, an operation involved in 1951 aerosol spraying of LSD on the town in Port Saint Esprit, France, which resulted in several deaths and many injuries. This is very important. Project SPAN, which, for anyone who doesn't know, there's a author out there, John Leslie, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's John Leslie. I like saying Leslie though because I think it's funny. John Leslie, who is, in my opinion, got to say that, in my opinion, I believe John Leslie is a Fed. Just my opinion, though. I have no facts to base that on. He wrote a book, Project Mind Control, and one of the things he said was that this town in France, they just had ergot poisoning. That's it. It was ergot poisoning from, moldy wheat that was somehow baked into bread, and the mold still survived somehow, and people were able to somehow ingest enough moldy ergot to where they were able to trip, except for that's not how it happens. By the time you ingest enough moldy ergot, you will die before you are actually able to ever experience any LSD-like symptoms. So just wanted to point that out because John Leslie really bothers me. I am working on a project to expose him and all of the work he has done in Project Mind Control, because I have documents to prove that he has lied in that book blatantly. So that will be coming this summer. Keep an eye out for that. Just to wrap up on this Frank Olsen thing, 2 CIA sources, among others, confirmed to Albarelli that MKUltra director Sidney Gottlieb targeted Frank Olsen with LSD and another interrogation drug at a retreat near Camp Dietrich on November 19th, 1953. After the interrogation, Olsen remained highly confused and disturbed. Yeah, because he was running around with spooks, like trained in doing this. The CIA then sent Olsen to New York to see a Columbia University professor, Harold Abramson, MD. Abramson was also a major in the U.S. Army, working as a part-time consultant for the Army Chemical Corps of Engineers as part of Operation Artichoke, which officially became part of MKUltra in April of 1953. On November 28th, 9 days after his interrogation, Frank Olsen fell from a 10th floor room of the Statler Hotel in New York. So this says 10th floor. The article we were reading says 13th floor. I don't know. I can't remember what the documentary says. So it was either the 10th or the 13th floor. A CIA agent was found in his room moments later. Albarelli's book and the film Codename Artichoke present overwhelming evidence that CIA agents threw Olsen out of that window. According to notable forensic doctors, Olsen suffered blunt trauma to the head that killed him before he was thrown from the window. So the reality is, ergot is associated with rye, not wheat. Wheat, rye, grain. It's moldy grain. Nonetheless, thank you for the correction. So the reality is that according to notable forensic doctors, Olsen suffered blunt trauma to the head that killed him before he was thrown from the window. So he was already dying on his way out of that window. Very interesting. There was a man that approached Frank Olsen's body once he landed on the pavement down below, said that Frank was trying to speak to him and tell him something, but unfortunately passed away before he was able to get the words out. Let's see here. Just reading ahead a little bit to make sure that there's still some information here. It looks like that's pretty much it as far as the connection to Olsen and stuff. I do find it interesting. John Leasley said in an interview, which highly bothered me, that the only reason people believe that Frank Olsen was murdered was because the CIA released a assassination manual and said something about pushing people out of a window. No, dude, that is not even close to why people believe that Frank Olsen was murdered. And to insinuate that is genuinely insulting. Once again, there will be an expose on John Leasley and why I think he's a Fed. Why I think, allegedly. Okay. Back to this article now that we took this huge roundabout detour. Vidic said his uncle had moral qualms about the nature of the work he was doing and was eventually seen as a security risk. Getting thrown out of the window was a very convenient way of disposing of a national security risk, he added. Quote, to summarize my view, he was murdered, end quote. His family was not allowed to see his body and was told he had suffered several facial injuries in the fall and had taken his own life. Yeah, except for the blunt force trauma to the head that was caused before he fell out of the window. It's incredibly interesting. Later reports confirmed that Olsen had LSD in his system at the time of his death. Oh, very interesting. The National Security Archive published more than 1,200 pages of MKUltra documents in 2025, detailing the scope of the experiments. That document dump we will also be going over on this channel probably next week. So make sure and tune in for that. Let's see. Subjects included criminals, mental patients, drug addicts, army soldiers, and ordinary citizens who were given drugs without their knowledge and or ability to consent. Obviously, I added that last little bit because I think it's incredibly important. Gangster James Whitey Bulger was among those who were used as a test subject in 1957 while imprisoned at the Atlanta Penitentiary. He later described experiencing paranoia and hallucinations during the experiments, total loss of appetite, hallucinating. The room would change shape, hours of paranoia and feeling violent, Bulger wrote. The NSA said in a statement, quote, "The CIA conducted terrifying experiments using drugs, hypnosis, isolation, sensory deprivation, and other extreme techniques on human subjects, often U.S. citizens, who frequently had no idea what was being done to them. While most documents were destroyed in 1973, a 1975 investigation led by Senator Frank Church, limited hangout, exposed the existence of the MKUltra program. Not really. It was kind of more John D. Marks and his FOIA request. But sure, we can go with this. Let's see, come on. Here we go. Let's see. The investigation sparked widespread public outrage and criticism of the CIA's practices. It also led to the creation of permanent congressional oversight committees for intelligence agencies. Like that fucking does anything. I mean, okay, here's kind of interesting, okay? It also led to, it also led to the creation of permanent congressional oversight committees for intelligence agencies. However, somehow, it didn't cross anyone's mind that they were unable to cover or not cover, they were unable to expose CIA torture, right? After 9/11. So these congressional oversight committees for intelligence agencies kind of do nothing, right? At least that's the way I see it. I mean, maybe they've uncovered something. I don't let's see. Just trying to help, brother. I wasn't being a dick when I'm live on my podcast. If I misspeak, I encourage folks to correct me. No, I didn't think you were being a dick. So, I mean, maybe you took my mistook my tone for me thinking you were being a dick. But no, I don't think you were being a dick. Although, no, I don't think you were being a dick. And like I said, I appreciate the correction. But rye technically is kind of a wheat. So we're just splitting hairs at that point, though. But no, I do appreciate your correction. So either way, they're both grains and they both get moldy. Ergot also cannot be ingested and will not give you LSD-like symptoms if you ingest it. It will kill you before that. So I don't understand this whole belief. But whatever. People believe some crazy shit. So anyways, so these permanent congressional oversight committees have really done nothing to see, I'm reading ahead. Have really done nothing to expose to expose the what am I trying to say? To expose the crimes of the CIA, basically, or the FBI. Because I mean, you're trying to tell me that these oversight, this congressional oversight committees are going to like hold these people accountable. Well, then where's all the where's all of the holding people accountable for the Epstein stuff, right? Like that doesn't that seems strange. That seems strange. Let's see. There's another article I was trying to bring up from the Daily Mail. Let's see. I'm going to have to bring it up in a different. Let's see. Got it. Got it. Let's see. God, there's a lot of ads in this. See, is there like a ad block in this or something? So give me just a sec. Man, yeah, that's a lot of ads. That's something, man. Daily Mail, like I understand you're more kind of like a tabloidy kind of outlet, but holy shit, guys, like okay, no, this is not gonna work, but I'm actually gonna teach you guys something real quick. I find this very, very interesting. Let's see. Let's switch back. Okay. Okay. Anyways, just to wrap up on this article before we move the show forward, we will be streaming these new MKUltra hearings. So when I find out where they are or where they are streaming, all of that stuff, there will be a show for that. See, I am going to share this link. Usually if I do shows like this, I will try to share my links over in my Telegram chat. So let's see. I'm just going to share this Daily Mail article over there. You can find the Telegram chat by going to allmylinks.com/rise to liberty, and it will be in that list. You can also, let's see, you can go to t.me/rise to liberty, and it will take you directly to the Telegram chat. Yeah, I usually post the articles that I review and everything over there, or sources that I cover on the show. That's usually where I post those sorts of things. So if you are interested in checking that out, go check out the Telegram group. Okay, now let's move over to the next article. This is where I'm gonna teach you guys something. This is incredibly interesting. Let's see. Sorry, had a important text message come through related to the show. Oh, funny. Okay, so see how this next article went once again. The secret CIA program linked to occult experiments and mind control fears. Right, but we can't read it, and I am not about to sign up for the Daily Mail for try now for $0 and then just $1.99 a month after that. Start your free trial today, unlimited access, blah blah blah. 80% fewer ads on the web, hundreds of exclusive articles each month. 25 daily premium puzzles. Well, now I'm sold. Now I'm sold on this. Just kidding. But and then this also happens where there's like a paywall to a certain like premium article, or typically on the New York Post or the New York Times, LA Times, whatever, all of these bigger publications, they'll put stuff behind a paywall, right? Or making you sign up for an account. We don't want another account. Not to mention, I have a sneaking suspicion that if you guys gave your email addresses to these companies, Daily Mail, New York Times, New York Post, whatever it may be, that they are going to sell your data, and then you're going to get a shit ton of spam in your email inbox. And it's not like any of us need help with that. So, so here's a neat little trick. Okay. I'm going to show you all. Now all of you can do this. This is super easy. So if you come across an article like this, this is all you have to do. I'll show you and then I'll explain it. Okay. Boom. There's the article. There's the entire article. Now, granted, you don't have the pictures and stuff with it, but you have the article. So, and then if it's really important to be able to have the pictures and all that stuff, I can show you another way to do that real quick. Now, what I'm doing, right? This actually is a feature on everyone's. It is a feature on everyone's browser, whether you're on your phone or on your computer. All you have to do is turn on reader mode. Reader mode, or so for instance, this browser that I'm using, it's called Speed Reader. Literally the setting, all it's supposed to do is literally like take away all the ads, all of the JavaScript stuff, all the HTML code stuff. It just strips it down to the article. But here's the one thing they haven't caught on to. It literally bypasses paywalls. Every single one of them. I have yet to find a website that this doesn't work on. So just turn on reader mode or reading mode. I've seen it called, like I said, I'm using Brave. Brave browser, and it's called Speed Reader. Yeah, all you have to do is just turn that on. Come on, turn it on, and it reloads it, and boom, there we go. Then you can literally read the article. See, actually, I think we can listen to the article too. Let's see. Always use Speed Reader for this site. Automatically use Speed Reader when possible. Brave Leo. Interesting. Change the font. Here we go. Since we're reading about this stuff, might as well use a typewriter font, right? Yeah, no, let's go back to typewriter font. That actually seems pretty cool. Sup, Huggy Bear? Good to see you. Good to see you. So, we're going to be running through this article. I don't believe I have any side tangents for this, so I think we'll be able to run through it pretty quick. Oh yeah, the other trick to get past paywalls, like if you need all the pictures and all the HTML stuff, all the JavaScript, go to archive.ph. Archive.ph. And you just paste the link into the red search bar, and then you archive the web page. And then most of the time, now I found some websites that this does not work on. Okay. If you go to archive.ph and you paste the link, sometimes it will not save the web page behind the paywall. It will just save the paywall, and it's really annoying. So reader mode really is the way to go. Anyways, fun little internet trick for all you people that like to do your own research and, you know, read articles. I'm not about to start handing out my email to these people. Fuck out of here. Anyways, let's see. What's the date on this? August 30th, 2025. Updated August 30th, 2025. Interesting. Okay. The secret CIA program linked to occult experiments and mind control fears. A declassified report from the Pentagon has revealed how the CIA used the military to hide their secret drug experiments for decades, including one that may have involved the occult. Declassified CIA documents reveal a covert program that tested the behavioral and toxicological effects of drugs and chemicals on humans and animals. The project, known as MKULTRA, ran from the late 1960s into the early 1970s at testing facilities including hospitals and prisons. A successor to the infamous MKUltra, which secretly dosed unwitting subjects with LSD to probe mind control, MKUltra was primarily focused on pharmacological research. Some reports, however, have speculated that the program also dabbled in occult practices. The claim resurfaced this month on the comedy podcast Sunday Cool, whose host asserted that the CIA, quote, went all in on hiring Satanists and witches to see if they could weaponize the paranormal. That's kind of interesting. Never heard of this podcast. So, yeah, let's see. I am curious. Let's see. Give me just a sec. Pulling up a couple of things. I'm actually interested in this. I'm going to go pull this up real quick. Sunday Cool. Never heard of him. Sunday Cool. Bam. Sunday Cool podcast. Okay, apparently Sunday Cool is 2 words. Just saying. See if I can find what they're talking about. CIA comments. Oh, okay. I know these guys. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let me pull them up. You guys probably know them as well. Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea. This is who it was. So give me just a sec. Let's see. Sunday Cool. MK Often. Okay. Let me pull it up for you guys real quick. Here we go. Bam. In fact, I think we're going to watch this. So, anybody who watches this type of content, I'm sure you guys have come across them before. They actually have a pretty good show. They kind of like a generalized conspiracy instead of just, one type of conspiracy or whatever. But yeah, so just generalized conspiracy. So that's kind of neat. Anyways, looks like up at the top is a clip from 8 months ago, which is about when this article would have been written. So let's go check it out, shall we?
We were talking a lot about the government today.
Let's see. Give me just a sec. I'm just kind of, let's see. Is that good? Is that good? Let's see. Stable volume, vocal boost. Interesting. Ambient mode. Playback speed. Let's speed it up just a hair. I like doing 125. Seems to go just a bit quicker. Quality. Oh, wow. They go all the way up. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, let's check this out. I'm curious. So this is Sunday Cool talking about Operation Often.
We were talking a lot about the government today.
Yeah,
And
but
the
people are
secrets.
saying it's good political, but this is
This is
conspiracy stuff, man. This is real life.
This is a real thing I'm about to talk about.
Okay.
And it's very talking about government hiding things.
Okay.
This
Let's
one's
go.
creepy.
Let's go in.
We're done. Creepy. So buckle up. Kids, close your eyes. Turn off the volume. Just kidding. Maybe. I don't know. So there's this thing in the government that was called Operation Often. OFTEN.
Okay.
And it was basically within MKUltra, them doing all their experiments, there's another subdivision called Operation Often.
Okay.
It was hidden, obviously, from the majority of government until the...
Hey, Finn. Good to see you, bud. Glad you're here. Glad all of you guys are here, guys and gals, I'm sure. Whether you're watching live or watching the replay, I am definitely glad all of you guys are here. I wouldn't do this and couldn't do it without all of you. So hit the like, share, subscribe, all of those things. Also, little throw up the banner. allmylinks.com/rise to liberty. It's where you can find all the things. Also, let me just edit this real quick. because this is really important, at least to me. Now, do you see this thing right here? This lamp with the UFO abducting the cow? I don't know why. I fucking love that so much. I absolutely love that lamp. If anyone knows where that lamp is, I want it. I want that lamp. That thing is amazing. I always think it's funny. I actually have an obsession with the whole alien abducting cows thing. I don't know why. It's just I love it. I think it's great. I think it's hilarious. I don't think that's what's happening. I think that's all like weapons testing. I think aliens are fake, but the different discussion for another day. Anyways, let's get back to this.
Mid 1970s, what was it? 1975 to 77, the Church and Rockefeller Commission hearings, which Rockefeller, that's whatever.
Good guy.
But which unveiled the MK Ultra.
Good guy. Yeah,
mostly
totally
highlighted
good
the
guy.
LSD hypnosis, sensory deprivation. And so they found out about MK Ultra and they're like, shut it down. You're done with this.
Yeah.
And so what the FBI director did at that time basically destroyed all evidence of MK Ultra. So the stuff that we do know about MK Ultra is very small compared to what there could have been.
Tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. But in December of 2024, so very recently,
Okay.
leading into 2025, through the Freedom of Information Act, they just released 1,200 documents of MK Ultra. And a lot of it has to do, not a lot of it, it gave more light to this thing called Operation Often.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what it was, Operation Often was a joint U.S. Army and CIA project launched in the late 1960s under the umbrella of MK Ultra and MK Search.
Yep. Yeah,
but it was
that's
primarily
true.
run through the research and development. But what they did was they went full in on hiring Satanists, witches,
Yeah.
to study and see if they could weaponize the paranormal.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so-
that makes total sense.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I don't know why I'm being a dick like that. Stop it, Jake. Yeah, okay, so I actually didn't know that dropped the 1,200 documents through the National Archive actually had a lot to do with MK Often. Yeah, that we are definitely going to be checking this out next week. So we will definitely be checking out these documents next week because that seems rather important. It seems rather important. So anyways, let's keep going.
In 1971-72, Operation Often expanded, explore supernatural and paranormal phenomena, including black magic, demonology, witchcraft, possession, and psychics. And so what they would do is they would go to Satanist churches, and basically U.S. government would hire them. They would go hire people that were professed to be witches. They would go into these satanic cults and hire them and study, basically, can you, like different weird stuff, like can you do something to possess someone? And like, so the U.S. government was fully operating this whole Operation Often, to where they were studying black magic. This is not made up. This is like these documents came out saying that they were doing this.
Yeah.
And it would just try to get buried instantly. Like, no, this is like, so even if you look it up today, it's like, it's very hard to find stuff on it because it's so recent that all these documents came out.
Yeah.
And a lot of documents were destroyed. But yes, it says there are even reports that this program had files on spiritual possessions, poltergeist activity, and demonic entities.
Bro.
This is the U.S. government saying, like, let's research this and see if we can weaponize it.
They're looking at spirituality as like a science to be like harnessed.
Yeah.
Because they know it's real.
Mhm.
Like they have to know this stuff has been passed down for centuries.
Of course, my mic was muted. This stuff is definitely real. It has been passed down for centuries. Why the, why the CIA wouldn't look into it, kind of would blow my mind. Let's see. There's actually something I was reading earlier to get ready for this that kind of, let's see, that kind of actually backs this up. Okay, so a glossary of how basic terms are used. Let's see. Mhm. Okay. See, I'm pulling through. I'm working through a book real quick. Oh, okay. This actually this is gonna actually work out perfect. Let's actually before I get into that, let's get back to the clip.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing to me is that people just don't believe like that. What is that saying? You know, the greatest lie
Yeah.
that Satan's ever told is convincing he didn't exist.
Atheism.
Yeah, it's like people think black magic, witchcraft, all this stuff is baloney. But I'm like, if the government, do you think the government like was like, let's see if it's real. They've been looking. Now they're like, now we're going to conduct a study on it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's real. There's something out there.
Yeah.
And it's dark. And they're
Yeah.
just like,
Right.
It's weird too, though, that this was a branch of MKUltra, which basically experimented with like hallucinogens
I-
and like mind control.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
I don't think that's weird at all. I mean, let me know what you guys think, but yeah, I think it fits perfectly. It fits perfectly where MK Ultra ends, the paranormal and the occult begin, you know? Let's see. Von Braun told us to expect this as their last card. Something wonderful is going to happen. It's the Wizard of Oz when we pull the curtain open. Bill Hicks, it's just a dream. 100%. That's funny. I actually just watched that clip the other day. I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna make a note of that because I want to add that clip to my next show because it would actually fit. While I write this note down, I actually have a big show coming up. Let's see. This is actually going to be tomorrow's show. Wait. Today is Thursday. Yes. Tomorrow's show. Let's see. It's just a dream. Tomorrow's show, I will be breaking down the witch hunt narrative. I am finally ready to do that. We are going to be going through the witch hunt narrative. We're probably going to get through half of it. So I'm going to break it up into 2 parts, a little bit more digestible for people because there's a lot of information to run through, but we're going to run through the witch hunt narrative, what it is, how it works, why it works, all the information. And then part 2 is going to be comparing, like, once we know what the witch hunt is, how it works, all these things, we're going to be examining the satanic panic and does it actually hold up to the claim of satanic panic? And then not only that, but how to protect yourself from this claim, how to fight back against this claim. So that's going to be fun on tomorrow's show. So make sure and check that out. I'm really excited to bring this information to everyone.
at the same time, they're doing like demon possession, dark magic, and then also at the same time, the whole Project Blue Book, which is studying the UFOlogy, UFOs, alien life. It's like it's all in this ball of like just bad.
It's all in this ball. It's all in the ball. Yeah, I don't believe in aliens. Just gonna throw that out there. I do think like interdimensional beings exist. I do believe in like demons, which I do think are interdimensional beings. The ones that Alex Jones screamed about. I think those exist, but aliens themselves, I I'm not convinced that they exist. I believe that they are a animal human hybrid, like cloning technology gone wrong, basically. Technology that's taking human eggs, human fertile human eggs and human sperm, and implanting that into a pig fetus or something. This happens. It's disgusting. It's demonic, in my opinion. But this sort of experimentation happens. In fact, Fauci was talking about some of this experimentation happening when he testified in front of Congress one of the many times. Maybe we'll have to do a dive into that as well. Animal human Crimea. It's a very dark rabbit hole, but I think that's what aliens are, honestly. Let's see, I'm going to make a note of that too. Animal human hybrids. I also maybe I'll start doing this as well. So I talked about a while ago about doing some like research shows, like doing some like live research sessions, going through just doing like precursory investigations and stuff. And I've had a couple of people, in my DMs recommend that I dive deeper into the whole cattle mutilation thing, which is still happening, by the way. Those were super popular in the 90s. I like to call the 90s like the X-File generation, which, by the way, I love the X-Files. But yeah, the cattle mutilations that have been going on since the 50s are still taking place today. And I think that's just like biological and futuristic weapons testing. That's kind of what I get from the precursory research I've done as well. Although I was told that this is a area of research to be very careful in, because a lot of people that get close to the truth tend to disappear or wind up dead. So yeah, I figure if I'm going to do that sort of research, should probably do it live, out in the open. I want everyone to be able to see, I figured that that's probably the way to go, or at least be out in the open and as public as humanly possible. There would have to be some things that I couldn't do publicly, at least initially, out in front. I'd have to like record it or something, but and just for the sake of this being the topic, I'm very happy. I'm not depressed. I'm not into anything weird that would get me in trouble. I don't plan on going anywhere. So yeah, just gonna throw that out there. I'm very happy. I don't plan on deleting myself or any others or anything else. So anyways, let's finish up this clip.
Stuff. Yeah, the 70s they were getting down and dirty in the 70s.
Wild.
Yeah. But when it all got exposed, they're like, okay, yeah, we won't do it anymore. But if you do research, which I didn't do a ton of, but you can find to where they still are doing aspects of MKUltra and all this stuff, but it's no longer under the U.S. government. We're just hiring contractors now to do these experiments, like we're doing with Palantir. And we're not, the U.S. government, it's not under the CIA.
Yeah.
The CIA is just paying these people to do this certain stuff.
It keeps their books clean. It keeps them away from any responsibility.
Get a WhatsApp call-in show going on your podcast, it would be amazing. I have thought about doing like a call-in segment, or actually what I've thought about doing. Let me know what you guys think of this as well. Actually, I guess I could. There's this new thing we can do. We can do polls now. We can do polls. Anyways, I've thought about doing a segment where we do voicemails. So basically, I would set up a phone number for anybody to be able to call, and then you would leave a voicemail. And then I would play the voicemails on the show. Just because a call-in show is, since I run my show myself, it's a little difficult with just one person. I don't know. I might be able to make a call-in segment work. I wouldn't want to do an entire call-in show. But a call-in segment might be possible. However, it would be pretty easy to do the voicemail thing. So it would be pretty interesting. Let's see, the book exposes the truth about cattle mutilations. The book is rare and expensive, but the author does a lot of podcasts and tells the truth. It's testing for radioactive fallout from nukes. Right. Yeah. That's what I've heard. I've also heard, people talk about like directed energy weapons and stuff like that. And really like exotic weapons, biological stuff. So what is the name of the book, or at least tell me the author's name? Death to Censors. By the way, love the name. That's absolutely awesome. Tell me what like I said, either the title of the book or the author's name, if you can remember. That way I can look it up, because I am incredibly interested in that book. So yeah, leave that in the chat, and I would really, really appreciate it. Thanks for your comment.
We didn't.
Hey,
it wasn't us.
We went rogue. They went rogue. We asked Peter Thiel to create better Roombas, but he's now making transhumans. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We didn't need to do that.
Yeah, but they said this was at the height of the Cold War paranoia. So they're like, they're just trying to figure out anything to weaponize.
Yeah.
And so, but it's like, dude, history repeats itself with like just.
That's reaching.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't make a bomb. Let's try and just throw this spell at you.
Yeah. Let's send a legion of demons to destroy you guys. And it's like,
but what deal had to be made for them to be like, we can wield it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, okay, it exists, but why does it answer to you?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what's tripping.
Okay, so the Dulce base, Gil Carlson is what comes up. Let's see. There's actually a couple of these books. There's also Greg Valdez, Dulce Base, The Truth and Evidence from the Case Files. There's also another one. It's called The Dulce Wars, Underground Alien Bases and the Battle for Planet Earth. I mean, I guess I'm actually not opposed to getting all of these at some point. I think it would be interesting. Let's see. Gil Carlson. But yeah, there's a couple of different book options. It looks like the Dulce or Dul. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Dulce. Looks like this book has been out of print for a while. Kind of cheap right this minute, though. secret societies, energy grids, underground anomalies, conspiracies between town folks and outsiders, hostile human or alien beings. Interesting. Greg Valdez. Okay. So that's the guy. Word. Yeah. Yeah, a perfect paperback. I see that is $1,500. Holy shit. Good Lord. Yeah, and that's the only version, although can buy the Kindle version for $10. So who knows if that's let's see, it's 280 pages. They're both 280 pages, but yeah, the very fact that the paperback version is $1,500 for a used copy is insane. Yeah, you can actually get financing for this book, $68 a month. In fact, too bad my credit is shit. Otherwise, I think I might actually do that. That would be interesting. I am going to add the Kindle version because I can afford $10. So let's see here. That's incredible. $1,500. Wow. Man, oh man, that is wild. Oh, geez. Yeah, cool. Thanks for the recommendation. That's definitely going to have to be part. Yeah. 50-year mortgages for a book. Totally. Let's see. Yeah, I found it. That's Greg Valdez. Yeah, $1,500 USD on Amazon. His dad was the cop investigating the mutilations. Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look up some interviews with him. That sounds very interesting. Kind of ties into all of this stuff, you know. But anyways, let's finish this clip, get back to our article.
Tripping me out. Like, I would assume, with zero knowledge on how this works, I would assume some sort of deal has to be made. You know, like we talked to the Navajo kid, and he was talking about like a skinwalker sacrifices something in order to obtain this power. Like, what had to be done for them to like gain access to this, to even study it?
Well, I mean, you had in MKUltra, in files, in court, this is confirmed. This dude blacks out after MKUltra. Like, this experiment goes wrong. He comes back to his house covered in blood. He just literally left a place, went, killed a young girl, came back to his house covered in blood, had no recollection of it. Why wouldn't the CIA say these people are almost sacrifices as lives, living things? You're not killing them as sacrifices. You're giving your living sacrifice, which is the opposite of the gospel. I mean, we are to be living sacrifices for the Lord. But if the CIA was able to, take over people's will, and, if they're willing to go into this experiment, and then it's like, boom, then we have full control over them.
Hey, you fire
dark
Pixie.
entity.
Good to see you.
It's crazy.
It just makes it that much creepier because the supernatural world is real.
100%.
Demons are real. And it's like,
yes,
our government
they are.
was actively inviting that stuff in. And it's just like, you can maybe even look at the timeline of potentially when they started doing this stuff and just see the chaos that has ensued without the US, just like from them to now.
Yeah.
Of just like, it's just dark, That's why we need Jesus.
And it makes me like wonder, like, who or what story have we watched on the news or something, and like, who's being MKUltra'd right now?
Yeah.
Who's being literally controlled?
Yeah.
Lots of
no
people.
idea, because we just don't think it's real. We just think we think so two-dimensional.
It's so crazy that you say like all of this was Cold War era, because we've talked about it on this podcast before, but like Eastern Europe has a lot of like we talked about like the statues and the stories of like there was one story you told me about like the angels with wings, like in
that
the
statue?
Eastern, in Eastern Europe and stuff like that. And so it's like, like what were they doing over there? Because we don't know what they were doing. We don't hear any of that kind of those stories and stuff like that, like out of like Eastern Europe and stuff.
Typically, that if the U.S. government is experimenting in something, other big powerhouses, countries are doing the exact same thing.
They have to.
Yeah.
We just don't know about it.
Yeah.
It would be cool to get like a full scope though and be like, this is what the US was doing, but like this is what like Russia was doing, or like China, or like some of these other countries that we just don't have visibility to.
Yeah. It's biblical too. It's like as old as Moses and Pharaoh for sure. Like they had them, they had a magic battle. Like they did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it exists. If you want to be a naysayer, you can be, but
ninjas are butterflies.
Interesting. I mean, that's not quite like the craziest clip that I thought it was quite going to be, but it is kind of interesting to have the context of what this article was talking about. So let's go ahead and move that. Let's get back to this article. Let's see. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. Some reports, however, have speculated that the program also dabbled in occult practices. That claim resurfaced this month on the comedy podcast Sunday Cool, whose host asserted that the CIA went all in on hiring Satanists and witches to see if they could weaponize the paranormal. I don't know if I would call their show a comedy podcast per se. I mean, I guess there's comedy elements to it, sure. Let's see. While the podcast presented these ideas as fact, no official documents support such allegations. I don't know if that's exactly true, but still, during the Cold War, secrecy and revelations about government experiments fueled perverse fears of overreach and secret science. The atmosphere of distrust helped give rise to enduring narratives that linked CIA research with occultism. A 1977 report by the Department of Defense revealed how the CIA secretly used the Army and Navy as a cover to conduct drug experiments without the participants' knowledge. MKUltra, an infamous CIA program, was led by chemist Sidney Gottlieb, no pictures, to develop mind control techniques during the Cold War. I don't understand. So, like, if we're already talking about mind control and behavior modification, why is it such a leap to think that they would want to study the occult? Okay. According to a Department of Defense DoD report, MK Often apparently began in 1968 and was completed by 1973. Let's see. It was conducted at the Edgewood Arsenal Research Laboratories in Maryland, which housed databases on pharmacological products. Officials first believed that the lab only housed data, but according to the report, it was testing a number of incapacitating agents in its own programs without CIA participation. One compound named EA pound 3167, which the report noted was successful in animal testing. However, details of what it was were not provided. Researchers also conducted testing on prisoners and military personnel at the Holmesburg State Prison in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It appears that all of the test subjects were volunteers and that stringent medical safeguards and follow-up procedures were used, the document stated. I totally believe that. Totally. In 1971, the CIA joined the research at Edgewood and conducted experiments on mostly animals. Bullshit. The primary effort was to determine whether EA pound 3167 could be used effectively if applied to the skin through a type of adhesive tape. Damn, that's scary. Let's see. The DoD report revealed how payments to researchers were carried out in order to keep the agency's role a secret. The declassified report found that CIA experiments used LSD, marijuana, heroin, and a mystery chemical called EA pound 3167 during interrogation sessions. Stock image. There was only one experiment that involved human subjects. In June 1973, 2 military volunteers were apparently tested using EA pound 3167. The report shared. The mysterious drug was developed a decade earlier to see if it could temporarily alter people's minds without killing them. Reports from the experiments found it was incredibly strong, causing hallucinations, confusion, and memory loss that could last weeks with just a tiny dose. The DoD report also showed that 3 CIA programs were executed by the Army, while 5 others involved the Navy, which primarily served as a conduit for CIA funds to contractors. While many of these experiments took place in the U.S. and involved volunteers from the military, at least one knowingly drugged people attempting to flee the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Okay, that, first of all, is terrifying. And anyone in the military is not a volunteer. I mean, I understand like soldiers can volunteer for things like this, but you are not getting the full details of like what's happening. Usually you're just bribed with like, leave time or, some sort of incentive, but you're not told any information about what's happening. So to be able to say that you have informed consent is insane. So can they really volunteer if they do not have informed consent? I do not believe so. But also, this is terrifying, and this is what I was saying. At least one unknowingly drugged people attempting to flee the Soviet Union during the Cold War. So imagine you're a defector, or you're just like some average person just trying to get the fuck out of the Soviet Union because you realize what's happening, you realize how terrible it is, and also you just want some fucking McDonald's. So you've got to get the hell out of the Soviet Union. And then once you get here, you are unknowingly drugged by the CIA. Oh, I would sue. Oh, I would fucking sue. Granted, you would probably just get over here from, the Soviet Union and just like not give a shit that you were drugged because you're just so happy to be here. So I don't know. Let's see. Another MKUltra experiment tested LSD in 1953, leading the family of CIA scientist Frank Olsen to claim the agency unknowingly drugged and then murdered him during their secret project. His son, Eric Olsen, now 81, told the Daily Mail, Frank's death was a CIA-authorized non-judicial execution. He was thrown out of the fucking window. 100%. Dr. Olsen, a biological warfare scientist, was covertly dosed with LSD at a meeting and died 9 days later after being pushed out of his hotel room in New York City. In 1977, another report was released by the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and Subcommittee on Health and Scientific Research. That 173-page report exposed the CIA's leadership of MKUltra and the DoD's role in channeling vast amounts of money to researchers working on mind control experiments for the intelligence community. Let me just pull that up. Let's see. Copy link address. Copy link address. No, I don't want to make it my default browser. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Working on the mind control experiments for the intelligence community. The Central Intelligence Agency drugged American citizens without their knowledge or consent. It used university facilities and personnel without their knowledge. It funded leading researchers, often without their knowledge, the report declared. However, MK Often and MKUltra were not the only operations these reports uncovered. 4 others were exposed in the DoD investigation in 1977. Oh boy, 4 others. 4 other fucking programs. Let's see. Okay. MK Delta was a CIA project started in 1952 aimed at using drugs and chemicals in secret operations to control or influence people's behavior. MK Naomi was active from the 1950s to 1969 and focused on creating deadly or disabling devices that could be secretly delivered during intelligence missions. MK Search ran from 1965 to 1973 and followed up on the work of MKUltra, focusing on developing drugs to predictably change how people think or act. Finally, MK Chickwit was a part of MK Search and aimed to find new drugs in Europe and Asia that could be used to control a person's mental state. Let's see, let's go ahead. Copy this. Go share this over on Telegram. Let's see. No, I already did. Duh. Okay. Yep. The article is now over there for anyone who wants it. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool little trick, you know, to be able to, let's see, forgot, I need to share this as well. Pretty cool little trick in order to get past those paywalls, right? Just turn on reading mode. Who would have fucking guessed? Who would have guessed? Okay. Yep, already read that one, went through it. We just got done with this one. We sent that one. Okay. See, what time are we looking at? 2:04. All right. How's everyone doing out there? You guys want me to keep going? You guys want me to wrap up here? Let me know. I have plenty more to get through. Plenty more to get through. So we can keep going if you guys want. Just let me know down in the chat if you'd like me to keep going. Because like I said, I've got plenty to go on. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, so we got that done. I am going to just take a moment to say, once again, I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. We're not shutting down quite yet. I do have at least one more article to get through. It's kind of talking about the origins, the truth about MKUltra. Let's see here. But if you could go ahead, hit the like, share, subscribe, all of those wonderful things, I would deeply appreciate it. If you would like to help out what I'm doing, you can, once again, go to allmylinks.com/rise to liberty. And there is a section that I've got on there with all of the different options in order for you to send a tip or send a donation over to Rise to Liberty, because I am viewer and listener funded. I don't take money from, big donors. However, if you want to give me a big donation, I won't be changing anything about the show. However, I will accept any amount. So I do appreciate that. But I am viewer and listener funded. And I need as much help as I can get. I'm putting a lot of time, effort, and energy into this. So any help that you guys can send on over, I would deeply appreciate it. Let's see real quick. So yeah, once again, head on over to allmylinks.com/rise to liberty. And so real quick, I just want you guys to know we are going to just keep going, but I have got to take just a quick break, run to the bathroom, fill up my water and stuff like that. So we will be right back. Okay. So don't go anywhere. I am just going to quickly throw on an intermission, I guess. Okay. So, you guys go do the same. Make sure, hit the bathroom, fill up your drinks, grab a snack, do whatever you got to do. Let's say we're going to be back in about, well, I don't know. Let's see here. About 5 minutes. Okay. Got about 5 minutes. Okay. So once again, allmylinks.com/rise to liberty. Go check out Beware the Mockingbird, rise to liberty.store for all the merch and everything. And otherwise, like I said, we are going to be back in just a few moments. So hang out and I will See you all then. All right. We are back. All right. We have, once again, we have one more article to get through. Hello, facts only, 2473. Let's see here. Yeah, we're gonna hit this last article and then we'll get out of here. So once again, head on over to allmylinks.com/rise to liberty to check out everything I have over there. Also, Beware the Mockingbird on Substack and risetoliberty.store. To donate, you can go on over to allmylinks.com/rise to liberty. I do have a Ko-Fi, which is ko-fi.com/rise to liberty. You can go check that out. That's probably the best place to donate. So make sure and check that out. But let's get back into this article, shall we? So it's another Daily Mail article. I actually found this as I was just getting ready for this show and everything. Thought this was incredibly interesting. So the title, the headline for this is Declassified CIA Files Reveal Chilling Blueprint to Manipulate Americans' Minds Through Covert Drugging with Vaccines. Isn't that interesting? In fact, let's see, I have something for this. Give me just a sec. Should have pulled this up during the break. Let's see, there's that. Let's see, I think we will save some of that research for the next one. Let's see. Yeah, 100%. Finnegan says, the devil loves a quitter. Keep them coming. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. 100%. So let's see. Let me I have a funny clip. Let's see. Bring this up. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. Let's see. Just have to save it. It's a brand new clip. Let's see. Save it to desktop. Video file. Oh, come on. There it is. Okay. So, let's see, proper. Yep. Okay. So, in fact, let's check out and see what the reader mode looks like real quick. Hey, that actually looks pretty good. So let's back that off. Declassified CIA files reveal chilling blueprint to manipulate Americans' minds through covert drugging with vaccines.
Ooh, brainwashing. Ooh, help, we're being brainwashed.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Ooh, help, we're being brainwashed. Let's see. Okay. So A newly released CIA file has exposed a top secret program that developed methods to control behavior using drugs in food, cigarettes, and even vaccines. Let's see, this was, let's see when this article was written. Oh, February 23rd, 2026. So this is fairly recent. I thought it was a little bit older than that. So it says here, a newly released CIA document reveals a chilling blueprint to manipulate minds through covert drugging experiments. The report added to the CIA's reading room in 2025 details of the government's once top secret Project Artichoke that ran from 1951 to 1956, focusing on behavior control, interrogation techniques, and psychological manipulation. The 7-page document titled Special Research for Artichoke, with an attachment labeled Suggested Fields for Special Research Relative Artichoke, outlines proposals to develop chemicals capable of altering human behavior. Let's see. Let's pull up this document, shall we? I'm curious which one it is. Nope. It's not the correct one. Come on. Let's see. Nope. Come on. Come on. Where is it? Ah, okay. Here it is. Give me just a sec. Let's see. Bam! Right here. It's a DOD document, actually. Memorandum for the Secretary of Defense. Okay, MK Delta, MK Ultra, MK Naomi, MK Search, MK Chickwit, MK Often. Let's see. Altering human behavior. So let's see. See. So experimentation programs conducted by the Department of Defense that had CIA sponsorship or participation and that involved the administration to human subjects of drugs intended for mind control or behavior modification purposes. Let's see. The Director of Central Intelligence on August 3rd, 1977, has included the administration of drugs to human subjects for mind control or behavior modification purposes. In addition, you requested blah, blah. Yep. Behavior modification. Code word projects identified by Central Intelligence Agency in testimony on August 3rd, 1977, before a joint session of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and Senate Subcommittee on Health and Scientific Research, the director of the Central Intelligence reported that the CIA had located a number of boxes of documents consisting largely of financial records relating to experiments using human subjects in which drugs were tested for mind control and behavior modification purposes. Interesting. Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's see here. In 1970, the contractor contacted the CIA project officer directly and suggested research work on two types of drugs, analogs of DOPA and dopamine, and analogs of picrotoxin. After the work was undertaken, the contractor added a third aspect, the study of analogs of hallucinogens. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that word. Ibogaine. Ibogaine. I'm not sure. Let's see. In March 1972, the contractor suggested enlarging the scope of the work to include narcotic antagonists or blocking agents. One document indicates that, quote, the overall objective of these studies is to synthesize new classes of pharmacologically active drugs affecting the central nervous system so as to evaluate their modification of man's behavior. The purpose of creating analogs rather than using the parent compounds was to find drugs, quote, which will be more specific in action as well as more reliable. Air Force programs. I find it interesting. The Air Force is like the only organization that never had to ibogaine. Interesting. Thank you for that. The Air Force is the only organization that never had to testify regarding any of this stuff. So I find that incredibly interesting. Anyways, maybe we'll dig through that document next time. Let's see here. Let's get back to this so we can get through it. Suggested fields for special research, relative artichokes, outlines proposals to develop chemicals capable of altering human behavior. It discusses drugs designed for both immediate effects like truth serums and long-term influence, potentially administered through food, water, alcohol, or cigarettes. Researchers also suggested that such substances could be distinguished in medical treatments such as vaccinations or injections. The CIA was also looking into methods beyond chemicals, listing hypnosis, sensory deprivation, gases, and other psychological methods for interrogation and behavior control. Artichoke served as a precursor to the CIA's MKULTRA program, which later broadened mind-altering experiments on a larger scale. Many files were destroyed in the 1970s, leaving the full extent of the research and how far it progressed unknown. The report added to the CIA's reading room in 2025 details the government's once top secret Project Artichoke that ran from 51 to 56, focusing on behavior control, interrogation techniques, and psychological manipulation. The document was declassified in 1983. Come on. No, not now. I don't want to make you my default browser. Here we go. Oops, come on. Okay, the document was declassified in 1983, but has resurfaced on social media where users are shocked to see the CIA discussing methods for drugging entire populations. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and here we go. Here we go. Wait. Nope. Wrong one. Give me just a sec. Here we go. Boom. Special research for artichoke. Let's see if we can find any of this. Done research with TSS by contract or farming out. Let's see. Set forth the following pages are a series of suggestions which are related to the artichoke program and which the writer feels are worthy of exploration. Some of the suggestions are controversial and, in the opinion of the writer, they could be presented to outstanding authorities in the fields to be considered, and it could be ascertained from these authorities whether or not full-scale research would be warranted. Chemicals, including drugs. It is believed that specific research should be undertaken to develop new chemicals or drugs or to improve known elements for use in the artichoke work. A study should be made to determine what drugs are best suited for direct use on subjects along the lines of let's see. Oh, here we go. This study should include chemicals or drugs that can effectively be concealed in common items such as food, water, Coca-Cola, beer, liquor, cigarettes, etc. This type of drug should also be capable of use in standard medical treatments such as vaccinations, shots, etc. Isn't that interesting? While there are literally hundreds of chemicals or drugs that affect the mental processes of an individual, many of these chemicals or drugs could be eliminated by individuals having special knowledge in the chemical/drug field. It is known that the Army Chemical Warfare Service has made exhaustive studies along the lines, and perhaps they could furnish us with many specific answers. It is felt that an exhaustive study should be made of various gases and aerosols that would be effective in artichoke work. Also, a study should be made of the effects of oxygen or other similar type deficiencies. Okay. High and low pressures on individuals should be examined as a possible basis for artichoke work. Sound. This is scary to me right here. So bacteria, plant cultures, fungi, poisons of various types. This field may conceivably be vulnerable in that these media are capable of producing illnesses, which in turn would produce high fevers, delirium, etc. It is also well known that species of mushroom produce a certain type of intoxication and mental derangement. While this group of subjects is closely related to I above or to one above drugs, it is conceivable that they could handled as a different type of research. Diet and dietary deficiencies. This important subject has not been properly explored from the point of view of the artichoke work. The removal of certain basic food elements such as sugar, starch, calcium, vitamins, protein, etc. from the food of an individual over a certain period of time will produce psychological and physical reactions in an individual. A study should be made to determine whether or not the removal of certain food elements from the diet of prisoners over a given period of time will materially condition them for artichoke work. Electroshock. I mean, come on. Let's see. Let's see. Electronarcosis. Electro sleep inducing machines. Lobotomy or brain surgery. Light, possible effects of color. Psychological problems. This is interesting. There are a great many psychological techniques that could be used in connection with the artichoke work. Many of these techniques are well known and have been used by clinical psychologists, psychiatrists, and interrogators for a long time. It might be found that certain of these techniques, particularly if applied in reverse, would be highly advantageous to successful artichoke operations. Among the psychological problems that might be considered for study would be moving or vibrating rooms, distorted rooms, the deliberate creation of an anxiety condition, the creation of panic, fear, or the exploitation of established phobias, etc., the effect of heat and cold, the effect of dampness, dryness, or saturated or dry air, the general problem of disorientation, completely soundproof areas. Just crazy. Yes, 100%. 100% that this is exactly why. Let's see. Electronics in general. There are many electronic devices of various types that may be important from an artichoke point of view. For example, can the encephalograph be used as a device for detecting certain types of treatment that individuals have been subjected to? Does an electroencephalograph reflect electroshock treatments or head injury or drugging? Does an electroencephalograph reflect whether or not an individual is under hypnosis? Interesting. Oh my God. Hypnospray. I believe this is the heart attack gun. And that's the end of the document. Once again, I will be posting this in my Telegram for anyone who is curious to read the document themselves. Copy that. Let's see. We will be doing, let's see, special research for Project Artichoke. Bam. Okay. Let's get back to the article, shall we? We're almost done. Almost done. Let's see here. Okay. So this is the document that was declassified in 1983, but has resurfaced on social media. Project Artichoke emerged during the early Cold War, a period marked by intense anxiety over communist powers and reports of brainwashing. Oh, forgot to add it back. Reports of brainwashing techniques used on American prisoners of war in Korea.
Dumb. Ooh, brainwashing. Ooh, help, we're being brainwashed.
I think that's funny. So glad I have that. This is interesting. I had an MRI but wasn't supposed to because I have metal inside. Interesting. Seems like they should have known that. Shouldn't have done that. Let's see. Internal CIA memos suggest that U.S. intelligence feared enemy nations had developed ways to control human thought and behavior, prompting the agency to explore its own capabilities. That I don't believe. I do not believe that they genuinely thought this. I believe that this was the justification. I do believe that it was the justification for it. I do not believe that they actually thought this. The declassified document reveals the depth of this research, noting the need for a study, quote, to determine what drugs are best suited for direct use on subjects along the lines of a middle and pentothal. Yeah, pentothal. and which drugs are best for an indirect or long-range approach to subjects. The researchers in the secret program emphasized that long-term compounds should be capable of producing an agitating effect, producing anxiety, nervousness, tension, etc., or a depressing effect, creating a feeling of dependency, hopelessness, lethargy. Lethargy. They also outlined practical considerations for concealment, such as substances that could be introduced surreptitiously in food, water, Coca-Cola, beer, liquor, cigarettes, etc., highlighting the CIA's focus on undetectable methods of influence. Moreover, the report recommending consulting with the Army Chemical Warfare Service, noting they have conducted exhaustive studies along these lines that could provide specific guidance for the program. Beyond drugs, Artichoke explored a wide range of psychological tools. The CIA files discuss drugs designed for both immediate effects like truth serums and long-term influence, potentially administered through food, water, alcohol, or cigarettes. Stock photo. Sections of the document discussed hypnosis, psychological techniques, and gases, aerosols, and oxygen deficiencies, demonstrating that the CIA sought to combine chemical, environmental, and mental approaches. Researchers questioned whether such methods could compel individuals to perform actions against their own will, including potentially criminal acts, without leaving conscious awareness of their behavior. I mean, this was literally the point of the movie The Manchurian Candidate, right? And this was what Project Artichoke was all about. Project Artichoke was all about the search for the Manchurian Candidate. This is where it started. This is really like the focus of this project. You know, this is really, really what mattered, at least to the project, right? Human experimentation under Artichoke often involved vulnerable subjects, including prisoners, military personnel, and psychiatric patients, typically without informed consent. It was almost 100% of the time it was without informed consent. Let's see. While much of the documentation was destroyed in 1973, remaining files suggested that the CIA and its collaborators systematically explored the limits of psychological manipulation with ethical considerations frequently subordinated to perceived national security needs. There, that is. The good old national security label. The national security label that gets talked about over on friend of the show, Operation GCD, JJ Vance's show. You know, all they have to do is just label something national security, and then that's it, right? Kind of seems like that's what they did on this. Artichoke evolved into the more expansive MKUltra program in 1953, which pushed experimentation even further, particularly with hallucinogens like LSD. Didn't stop there, though. MKUltra involved hundreds of sub-projects at universities, hospitals, prisons, many of which used unwitting subjects, drawing outrage when the programs were exposed in the 1970s by congressional hearings, including the Church Committee. We've talked about James Whitey Bulger quite a bit. I know quite a bit about his story, but I've never really cared to deep dive or anything into it. It just never really seen like actually him being a gangster, in my opinion, is way more interesting than him being involved in MKUltra. If I'm being 100% honest. Let's see. See if we can find anything. Oh, I just don't want to keep talking. Let's see. James Whitey Bulger just doesn't seem I mean, I guess it's like relevant, I'd much just in the grand scheme of things, I think I would rather just talk Uncle Ted, This is my opinion. See, most of these stories are super. See, oh, interesting. Okay, there actually is kind of an interesting video. Let's see. Okay. Share screen. Let's see, make sure there's audio. Okay. Yeah, this could be kind of interesting. I hope it is. Getting down to the wire here, so. Okay. Let's see if this is interesting, huh? Turn it up a bit.
Out of hiding and back in Boston, News Center 5 found former mob boss Cadillac Frank Salemi. Tonight, in another exclusive, Salemi tells why he turned against corrupt cops and mobsters.
Hi, Mr.
Dun, dun,
Salemi.
dun.
Welcome back to Boston.
Tonight, in another exclusive, Salemi tells why he turned against corrupt cops and mobsters.
Janet Reno wanted to know what I wanted for this.
And good evening, everyone. Salemi says he wants nothing to do with
what
his
does
old
this have
life
to
as
do
a
with
mob
Whitey?
kingpin.
And now the confessed killer is talking only on 5 about why he came back and what
Only
he intends
exclusively
to do.
on
Here is News Center
5.
5's David Bowery's exclusive.
Hi, Mr. Salemi.
See? Exclusive.
Welcome back to Boston.
Exclusively
I'm
on
David
5.
Bowery from Channel 5.
Yesterday, after days of following him, we introduced ourselves to Frank Salemi, former boss of the New England Mafia, who had gone into the witness protection program last March and quit before November to come back here, where he says he's been living the quiet life. Today, he agreed to an interview.
People think today that I put your life in
This is
danger, but
interesting.
you don't
Feel in danger here.
Absolutely not.
Why?
This was going to be inevitable that somebody like yourself, somebody would see me. I've been seen all over the city. I'm not hiding. I'm right out in the open like today.
Mr. Salemi says he's not living the high life. The social ramble
Interesting.
ain't restful. He's in bed by 9. You're not trying to get back in the game.
Absolutely. Shame on me if I get back in the game or even attempt to. This life is so inundated with top echelon informants that you couldn't survive a half a day in it. But trust me when I tell you, and anybody that thinks it's any different here than New York and the rest.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. I do think that that's a very interesting point to be made about the mob, is that the entire lifestyle is just like overflowing with spooks and just glowies left and right, that, like he said, you wouldn't be able to survive. That is incredibly interesting. Not surprising at all, because I mean, spooks and glowies, I mean, they are mobsters. They are the mob. It's the difference between a pirate and a privateer, right? It's the same fucking thing. The same fucking thing.
It's inundated with informants. I can tell you informants in this city that are operating right now would make your hair stand up. And they've been operating for the last some 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
What Mr. Salemi was involved with, by his own admission, was a life of crimes capped with murders. And you say you were the planner?
Right.
How did you put it, sir?
Well, they called me the general behind my back.
Because you planned?
And did them.
And did them.
Yeah.
And that put him in the position of being an expert when it came to testifying. And in some of the most crucial testimony in the history of crime, Mr. Salemi says he agreed to break the code of silence upon the personal request of U.S. Attorney General Janet Reno to testify against John Connolly days before the statute of limitations was about to.
Fucking Janet Reno. Now there's a fucking gangster. People, can say what they want about her, but she's a fucking gangster through and through.
Run out on Connolly's crimes.
The one predicate act that got him indicted was the predicate act of him tipping me off to the indictment. Okay. And if I didn't do it, John Connolly would be on the street today. Imagine what a tragedy that would be. Oh, yeah. Maybe those two little girls would never have come out. Maybe weeks wouldn't have turned.
The girls he referred to were women murdered and buried by Bulger and Flemmy. The remains were recovered years later in Dorchester and along the Neponset River after Weeks became a government witness. Salemi is now working on a book, and in another phone call late this afternoon, he asked me to report that he intends to tell News Center 5 the full story of corruption involving cops and especially FBI agents and the informants they protected, especially Bulger and Flemmy. For News Center 5 Tonight, I'm David Bowery.
Salemi called the witness protection program, quote, ridiculous. He says he left after fewer than 9 months because he didn't get the medical care he needed and had been promised.
Interesting. Now, I did...
Targeted Boston's most wanted men, Stephen the Rifleman Flemmy, Frank Salemi, and James Whitey Bulger.
The plan was we would target Stevie.
Okay. One team got its man, but the FBI couldn't keep its promise.
That they had Jimmy in pocket.
Whitey was on the run. 10 years later, he is still running. Did Bulger's flight take...
Now, there was that movie. Yeah, there we go, right there. Black Mass. That's interesting. Michael Franzese. So Whitey Bulger, from what I understand, definitely was a rat. So, well, that's kind of interesting. John Red Shea, that dude is fucking hardcore, from the Irish mob. That dude is no joke. Free Will, the Unabomber, and the Harvard LSD studies. Yeah, see, it just seems more interesting to me to talk about Uncle Ted than it does talking about Whitey Bulger to me. Let's see. Let me look at that article real quick to see if there's anything interesting left. Looks like it's pretty much just a repeat of everything that said in the other ones about Whitey. Yeah, fucking Whitey. Reminds me of Tommy Boy when he's smoking with all the Rastas in the back of the concert and he gets out on stage, kill Whitey. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the rest of the article was just about Whitey Bulger, and I don't really care. I don't really care. We've repeated it enough. So.
Ooh, brainwashing. Ooh, help, we're being brainwashed.
I fucking love that so much. Okay, on that note, we are going to get out of here for the day. We are at 3 hours. So I think this is a great stopping point. We've covered quite a bit today. I didn't get to all the things that I wanted to be able to get to, unfortunately. But that's why we will end up having another episode, right? So I wanted to actually be able to get into some of the techniques, some of the, just that, some of the techniques of MKUltra itself. Let's see. Okay, I've made sure to post the memorandum for the Secretary of Defense, plus all the articles over on my my Telegram. So I have posted all the articles, all the PDF files, all of that over on the Telegram. I will actually go ahead and post that in the chat for anyone interested. Otherwise, you can go to allmylinks.com/rise to liberty. That's one of the best places you can go. And I will make sure and post that in the chat as well. Let's see here. But we are going to get out of here for today. Let's see, allmylinks.com/rise to liberty. Once again, I am viewer and listener funded, supported. I do not take any direction or money from large corporations or large donors that tell me what to do or how to run my show or anything. I do this. It's basically a show by the people for the people. It's all for you guys and gals. So it's super important for me to stay super independent so that I am actually able to be able to bring you the best information possible and bring it to you how I want to bring it to you. So it's honestly one of the best things ever. But what that means is that I need all the support I can get, and I need it from all of you fine folks. So head on over to allmylinks.com/rise to liberty. Make sure and hit Beware the Mockingbird on Substack, risetoliberty.store. Remember, MKUltra rules all around us. Also, go to my Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/rise to liberty. Go leave me a tip. I do have premium Substack subscriptions coming. They are coming, and they are going to be top-notch, super worth it. Man, they're going to be great for anyone who is interested in that sort of thing. there's going to be a certain amount of these shows that stay free at all times, period. But there is going to be some stuff behind the paywall, but it's all going to be good. Everyone's going to get a little bit of something. It's going to be great. Highly recommend checking all that stuff out. Beware the Mockingbird on Substack, onmylinks.com/rise to liberty, which are down in the episode description. Tomorrow, we have another show. We are going to be discussing Michael Aquino and the witch hunt narrative. Oh, I've been excited for this show. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited to talk about that piece of shit again. So make sure and tune in for that. It's going to be good. It's going to be around the same time as today, about 1 to 1:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So it's a 1 p.m. Mountain, it's 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And I think that's pretty much it. That's all the housekeeping for now. Yeah, I can't think of anything else other than thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Rise to Liberty. Make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe on the way out. After the live stream is done, make sure and leave a comment. Share this post, all the things. Feel free to clip this if you want. Just make sure and tag me in it. That's all I ask. Once again, another show tomorrow. And yeah, I think that's it. So until next time, stay free, my friends.